Riding, I believe, should be enjoyable, not only for you, but also your horse. So often, I've spoken to people and they have said that riding has been either the worst experience they've had or the greatest experience they've had. This all comes back to you as the rider and how you train your horse. And in training the horse, I work on some basic principles. And Bettina Overish, who's here with me and going to work with me through this program, we're going to explain to you the basic principles of a saying that I have called 4x4. That's 4 things that we teach the horse and 4 things that we do as a rider. Before we ever ride a horse, the horse can walk, trot, canter, gallop, do flying change, and also jump a little log in the field. But then, when we get on the horse's back, all of a sudden it won't do those things. And Swizzle In has just jumped over those blocks then, and it all comes back to the 4 things that I have taught him. Go forward, stop, turn right, and turn left. They come from the aids and the way that we communicate with the horse. And the 4 things that I communicate with are my hands, my seat, to feel what I'm doing, my legs, and also my eyes, so that I can see what the horse is doing and also where I have to ride the horse. So what I'm going to do is just work through those 4 basic things that we teach the horse: go forward, stop, turn right and turn left, and also explain how it's done. Ultimately though, you need to use all your aids together. But just to start with, I'm going to just make it very simple in the identification of the aids. The first thing that we do is to ask the horse to go forward. Now, when we're standing still and we need to indicate with our leg, which is a slight squeeze on the horse's side. If the horse doesn't respond to that, we then become a little stronger or a little sharper and shorter with our squeeze. So to walk forward is an indication with the leg, and then just allow the leg to rest against the horse's side. That's the number 1, teaching the horse to go forward. Secondly, teaching the horse to understand the feeling that we have with his mouth. And so with a slighter and firmer indication on the horse's mouth, we can ask the horse to stop, and then when he does stop, we don't keep pulling on the horse's mouth, we just allow, and it is a slighter, firmer contact on the horse's mouth. As soon as he responds, we then allow. So walking forward again, indicate with the leg, and then you maintain an even contact with the horse's mouth all the time so that you can steer your horse. We've indicated to the horse to stop. Now to turn left is a slighter and firmer contact on the left rein, so to ask the horse to turn left, and to turn left again is exactly the same. Then ride in a straight line. A good way to start is to find out whether your horse is responding to your aids, is ride in straight lines and then just turn at right angles, which is a little stronger indication with the right rein, a little stronger again to turn to the right, and then just an even contact for the horse to go straight. Right contact again, a little firmer, and then straight with an even contact, with both legs just resting against the horse's side. I mentioned the seat before as a form of communication to the horse. What we do with the seat is feel what the horse is doing underneath us. We feel the rhythm and the tempo of the horse. And so we have our seat just sitting in the saddle and just squarely, so that we're not sitting to one side. And our eyes, we see whether the horse is bending through their body and got an even bend through their body. And also, if we watch the horse's ears, we get a lot of communication as to what the horse is actually thinking. All right, we have done walking in a straight line, turning left. Now, to go into trot, the important thing is, with the legs just resting against the horse's side, we just give a clear indication to go into trot, which with an experienced horse is just a little firmer contact on his side. And then, as we're trotting around, the lower leg should just be quiet against the side. It shouldn't be kicking every stride. So many riders, they end up kicking every stride, which effectively, just walk, good boy, which effectively is asking the horse to trot, 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 trot every stride. We don't use our voice every stride, so we needn't use our leg every stride. If we indicate to the horse to trot and he trots forward and he's responsive to that, just quiet with your leg. As soon as you want him to increase his trot or get a little stronger trot, you then use a little stronger leg or a little shorter, sharper squeeze so that you do get a response. The thing is, if you use your leg or your hand aids and the horse doesn't respond, just be a little stronger with it and a little shorter and sharper with it. But the important thing is consistency. If you do something different each time, when you're training your horse, the horse becomes then confused. And when we're galloping down to a cross-country fence, which we will be doing later, the important thing is that the horse responds to your leg aid. As you use your leg and you want to go faster to the fence, the horse must respond. If you want to slow down, the horse must respond to the hand and also the leg. Now, as you're galloping the fences, you can also feel through your seat what the rhythm of the canter stride. My worst experiences have been galloping to a show jump or a cross-country fence, not being able to stop, turn right or turn left, or using my leg. The horse does not go and I end up sitting in the fence on top of the horse. Now, with training the horse, we also want good regularity with all of the tempo, all of the gaits. That is good regularity through the trot, and that means a good consistent rhythm and good even steps. When we go into canter, we want the canter to be a good regular canter and good length of step, an even contact on the horse's mouth and the leg just quiet against the side, so that when you do use your leg as an aid, the horse will respond to that and not just think, oh, the leg is just moving again. With the seat needs to be sitting in the saddle so that you can feel the canter that you've got underneath you, and not out of the saddle like this and leaning forward, because you're not actually feeling the canter rhythm. The seat must be in the saddle so that you feel the rhythm. And so that means being elastic through this part of the small of your back and your stomach muscles not locked, but just so that your seat can stay there and go with the rhythm. You also need to be elastic through your elbows so that as you're cantering along, that you can keep an even contact on the horse's mouth and the elbows being elastic all the time. Just back to trot. There, it's just a slight indication with the reins, but we also need to use the legs and also feel the quality of the canter that we've got underneath us. And so that's where the use of the hands, the legs, the seat and the eyes, so that you can see what the horse is doing underneath you, all start to work together. But in the initial stages of training, it's important that you have the use of the hand and the leg a little further apart in time and the use of them, so that you don't confuse the horse. Because if we go for collected canter, we need to feel the canter that we've got underneath us through our seat. We use the leg to keep the canter and engaged from behind, and the use of the hind legs. With the hand, we indicate to the horse as if we want him to slow down and halt. We need to be elastic through the elbow, through the small of the back, and shorten the canter. That's for your collected canter. But if you tried to do that with a horse that you've only just started with, the horse wouldn't know whether you're wanting him to go forward or to stop. So don't try and become too technical too early. If it's not happening, just always think of the 4 basic things. 4 by 4. Is the horse going forward? Is he stopping when I want him to stop? Can I turn right or can I turn left? If he's not doing one of those things when you want him to, then it's probably coming back to something that you're doing. Are you feeling the quality of the work through your backside, through the seat and sitting in the saddle? Is he responsive to your leg? Is he listening to your hand? Or as you're riding along, are you looking elsewhere and not really looking at what the horse is doing underneath you? As I said, I get so much communication from the horse from this area, from his ears, what his ears are doing, and watching that part of his head, because if it's downright low and we're galloping along, that's probably a sign that he's on the forehand too much. If it's right up in the air and his nose is out in front, just like it was then, that's a sign that he's not really listening to me. If it's also becoming difficult, if it's not happening, just stop, take a break for 2 or 3 minutes and think of the 4 by 4. To continue on, after you've got your horse established to the 4 by 4 and he's listening to your legs, to your hand, you're using your seat to feel what he's doing underneath you and also your eyes, and he's going forward, stopping, turning right and turning left, then go on and we're going to work over a pole on the ground. This is something that I do with all of my horses, whether they be advanced horses or whether they be novice horses, or a horse that has done nothing. I will just start by working over a pole on the ground so that I get a feeling of what the horse is likely to do. It also helps me understand the rhythm of the horse, the quality of the work that I've got, and as to whether I can maintain the rhythm and the quality of the gait that I have to the fence. I'll show you this just over a single pole. Bettina, can you move the pole please, just so that I've got one blue pole there to walk over. So many people do not look at their subject when jumping, the subject being the pole. I just look at the pole and continually stay focused on it and just feel the rhythm of the walk to the pole. There the horse came in exactly the same rhythm at walk and just stepped over it. I just do exactly the same thing, just back and forth. And I do it with all level of horse, whether it be advanced, intermediate or novice horse. Just exactly the same rhythm in walk and walking to it. The thing that you need to establish is the walk rhythm. So the horse is responsive to the leg aids, responsive to the hand aids, and got a good even step, length of stride, and good even rhythm to his gait. I've got that established. I look at the pole early and I just stay focused on the pole and just ride to the pole, just thinking of the rhythm and where the horse is stepping. Now, coming to the pole, you don't start pulling on the reins, giving a kick, making the stride longer. You just want to maintain the rhythm and just keep coming in exactly the same rhythm to the pole on the ground, but all the time looking at it, all the time until the horse steps over it. But in looking at the pole, what so many people are told, and I totally agree, is that you must look up. Well, yes, fine, that's okay to look up, but what they really mean is that you mustn't tip your head down and look down at the pole this way. You can still keep your posture, still stay in exactly the same position on the horse, but your eyes just tip down to the pole so that you are aware of where the pole is. And then, as your horse steps over it, your eyes then go forward to where you're riding. Look at the pole early and just keep your eyes on it and just come in exactly the same rhythm to the pole. And that's exactly the same in trot. Indicate with the lower leg to trot on, just a good clear indication. I just stay in rising trot. I'm looking at the pole now. Just keep looking at it, just feeling the rhythm underneath me so that I've got a good even trot. And then just trot straight over the pole. I often do it in trot. I change the direction all the time. So I work in a figure of 8 over the pole. Looking at the pole early, just thinking of the rhythm. So the horse just steps straight over the pole and doesn't jump it. Because when you come to jumping around a show jumping course, you don't want him to be making too big an effort over his fences. You just need him to clear the pole and not knock it down. But you do not get any prizes for jumping 0.5 of a metre higher than the pole. Just indicate canter, pick up a good quality canter, looking at the horse's head and his ears to make sure that the canter and his balance is where I want it. And then I've got the canter established, feeling the rhythm, I just come round the corner, just looking at the pole and just thinking of the rhythm. Now that wasn't very good. And I'll tell you why, because I normally, when coming to the pole, I think and count of the horse's canter stride. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There, that's getting better all the time. Just good quality canter, looking at the pole and thinking of the rhythm to the fence. All right, now I come to the oxer. 1, 2, 3, 4, exactly the same thing. Bettina, can you make that a higher vertical, please? About a metre high. Come to the oxer once more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, in coming to your fences, the important factors that you need. The horse be responsive to your leg aids, to your hand aids. You feel the quality of the canter that you've got through your seat. And most importantly is that your eyes are focused on the fence all the time. So many people, they're coming to a fence and they think their distance is okay, so they look away from it. Once you look away from the fence, you then, when you look back to the fence, have to reassess your distance. I believe that in seeing a distance, you don't actually see it, you feel it. You feel the quality of the canter that you have coming to your fence. And that's why I do so much work over a pole on the ground. Because if you don't get it right over the pole on the ground, it doesn't matter. You don't injure the horse. You don't nearly fall off. You just come round and you keep on practicing over the pole on the ground. Do it at walk to start with, then at trot, then at canter, and then if you can consistently get it right at canter, then come to the pole on the ground at gallop as well. Exactly the same thing, but just altering your speed. It all comes back to your rhythm. Because if you look at the top riders in the world, whether it be in show jumping or whether it be in eventing and riding cross country, it all comes back to the quality of the canter that they have produces a quality approach. To have a quality approach, you can then have a quality jump. You cannot have a quality jump without a quality approach, or it's very unlikely that you do. All right, just working on the basic principles of what I've spoken to you about. Yes, just out to the side a little bit, halfway between the blocks and the edge of the arena. All right, great. Yep, thank you. All right, I talk about feeling your distance to the fence. That's often why I count my strides coming to the fence. What I'm doing is counting the rhythm of the horse. For a quality approach, I get a quality canter. I'm going to jump the pole on the ground, then come round, jump the vertical here, change direction, and then come round and jump the oxer. Make sure I have a quality walk, and then go into trot. And now into canter. Sitting in the saddle, feeling the canter stride. Horse is responsive to the legs, he's staying in canter. I look at the pole and I start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now look at my next pole, the jump, the blue and white one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now look at the oxer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Now back to the blue one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All the time, just getting to the fence so that the horse can just canter over the fence, not have to increase the length of stride at all. All right, I'll just do it all just a little quicker. And this is, in a way, a preparation for going and riding around a show jumping course, just a little different speed. And then this is also preparation for cantering around a cross-country course. I always like to do the variation of speed in the show jumping arena. If something goes wrong, it doesn't matter. Important thing is, I get the canter established at the rhythm that I want. I'm out of the saddle, just allowing the canter to go along, still keeping exactly the same canter. I sit in the saddle, not pulling on the reins anymore, just elastic through the elbows to the pole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That was good. Now to the blue and white. Look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That was good. Exactly the same rhythm now to the oxer. And again, just a little quicker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Here, I have a complete contrast. The only thing that is the same between the other horse and this horse is the colour. This is a complete novice. I haven't even ridden him in a competition. But I'm going to show you that I still work on exactly the same simple principles as I do with my advanced horses. But before doing that, I just want to point out that I always wear spurs when riding the horses, wear gloves, and also carry a whip. All right, with this horse, he is not as receptive to the aids. Like, he's pulling at me more, and he is not as good in going forward. I have to be stronger and clearer with my aids, and not as short and as sweet with the aids with the advanced horse. In turning right, yes, that was okay. Turning left. The one thing that he is doing is he's always inconsistent in the contact. His head is not as steady, the contact with the mouth is not as consistent. Therefore, it is more difficult to ride the horse to a fence with the inconsistency of the contact of the mouth. The walk is a little irregular. There is not the even tempo in his steps, and also he will not go in a straight line as well as the advanced horse. He's all the time weaving a little bit, one way and then the other. But turning left, exactly the same principles. Then you can see he went against me. Then turning left again. And then he's trying to tilt his head, and he's bending his neck one way and then the other. Then his hindquarters are going one way. So all the time I'm just trying to keep him straight with my legs, feel his rhythm through the seat, and then with my hand just have a consistent and steady contact with his mouth so that he learns to accept it. You must always ride with a contact on the horse's mouth. If you have loose rein like this, you cannot steer your horse properly. The horse then has a choice of going where he wishes. So just work on the principles of turning left and right, and then also stopping. When he stops, you don't want him leaning down like that. I give him a pat because he's done what I want, and then walk on again. Just one aid to walk forward. Turn left, and then stop again. Whoa. There he pulls forward. You have to just block against him so that he doesn't learn to pull you out of the saddle. Just keeping a steady contact on the reins and trying to make him just stand quietly and accept that. Reward the horse and then walk on again. Just one clear, simple aid with the lower leg. He wanted to slow down at the walk just as I walked forward, so I indicated again with my leg. But all the time, just keeping my leg quiet. I will just stop him again, and then I will demonstrate what a lot of riders do with a novice horse when they ask it to walk forward. They stick their leg back, and then they wriggle their feet. And then they're all the time doing that with their legs, all the time kicking, and then they start to wriggle their backside in the saddle and trying to make the horse go forward. You mustn't do that, because if you ride like this just throws the horse, ends up throwing the horse off balance. I'll just stop again. What you need to do is sit still, your legs just quietly against the side, just without changing the pressure in your seat. Just indicate with the lower leg to walk forward. Just one indication, he's about to slow down, he's not walking as I wish, so I just indicated again. And then just allow the horse to walk forward in a straight line, then do your turning left, then right, and right again. There's no set format that you need to follow, it's just work through the principles. If he's not stopping and standing steady, just do that and continue to do that, because training is repetition and consistency of repetition, is to teach an animal to accept something and to accept the aids. It's not important to reward the horse every time, but it is important that he learns what is correct. But I do see some people rewarding the horse too much, and then the horse just learns to ignore them, because when the horse stops, he needs to learn to just accept the contact and just try and have a steady contact with his mouth. Walk on. Good boy. All right, that's getting better. Now, it's important not to stick at something for too long. With a novice horse and a young horse, their concentration span is not so great. So don't spend hours just doing exactly the same thing. vary the work so it keeps it interesting for the horse. And as you can see on this horse, he is not as consistent in the way that he goes. The contact is much more unsteady, and his concentration is not as good. He's quite often looking around and he doesn't want to go forward as well. He's becoming a little better at turning, going in a straight line, and then walk again. You can then start to incorporate working over a pole on the ground. I'm sure we've all broken a pole at some time. Just square the ends off, just cut them so that they're even, and then just walk across a shorter pole. And then that way it becomes acceptable for the horse to walk over something narrower and come to something that's narrower. All right, do that at walk, then go into trot. The important thing is that the trot is a forward, good swinging trot for a novice horse. It's important to do lots of transitions so that you don't get just bored doing the same thing all the time. The important thing is that the horse is responsive to your aids. And even with the novice horses, you still need to look at the fence early and ride. Just think of the rhythm, the consistency of the trot, and over the pole, changing direction so that the horse becomes familiar with the rhythm and the regularity of coming to a pole on the ground. Canter. And this exactly the same with canter. Get the canter established, the rhythm established, and then just look at your poles. Ooh, not so good. I didn't have the canter established enough. The horse wasn't responsive to the spur, to the leg. So I have to be a little sharper with my spur to keep the canter. And the horse needs to learn to focus on what he's going to jump as well. Same as you need to look at it, the horse needs to look at it. With a novice horse, it's sometimes difficult to get them to change over the pole. Definitely didn't establish that. It's more difficult with your novice horses to get them to do flying change over the pole. So you've got to be very clear in what you're asking. Change the bend early and then make sure you're very clear with your leg aids. Not only should you look at the fence early, the horse should look at the fence. And you can watch the horse's ears as to seeing whether the horse is focused on what you're wanting to jump. See there, it was very noticeable that the horse sighted the fence about 3 strides from the fence. There you can tell he's not really looking at it just by looking at his ears. I look at the fence, I feel the rhythm to the fence, and there you could see the horse look at the fence just by what he was doing with his ears. So you can stay focused on the pole, yet have a broad enough vision to see what the horse's ears are doing as well. But the most important thing is that you stay focused on the pole and you ride the rhythm to the pole. You feel the fence coming to you. As I said earlier, the novice horses and the younger horses can't do as much. So you've got to be able to give them breaks on a regular basis. And while you're having a break, maybe Bettina can put up a fence for me. And in that period of time, just let the horse relax. Like go loose rein so that he has the freedom of his head to look around and to stretch his neck and not be against your hand or not be fighting you. I'll show you, if I take the reins up a little bit and just continually hold a little bit, see how the horse starts to fidget and he starts to pull against me. And he's looking around. And there he's leaning down against my hand and pulling against me. And all I've got is just a light contact. Now if I go totally loose rein, the horse becomes a little more comfortable. Sure, he's chewing on the bit a little bit, but he's not fighting against me. And so it helps him to relax just a little mentally. All right, with your novice horse, be careful not to put the fence up too high. Just small to start with, and I'll canter over it. Exactly the same principles. Look at the fence and count your rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That was good. Came in exactly the same rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. But I could see a little earlier that I needed to move to it, so I had to increase his canter stride, the length of it. I just get the canter back and established. I'm sitting in the saddle just feeling the canter that I've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Again, he wanted to drop his left shoulder in, so I pick up a good canter, just working around. After I jump it this time, could it be put up, please, Bettina? Good. All right, and just let him walk. Just give him a little break because he's been good in what he's been doing. Nothing startling, but nothing wrong. And so you have to remember, do not expect too much from your horse. If you get a little bit of improvement each day that you ride, you will get there. But the only way you get the improvement in the quality of the jump is the quality of the work that you are doing on the flat. Because as I said earlier, cantering over a fence is purely an elevated canter stride. It's not to be any longer stride or any shorter stride. It's exactly the same length, but just going higher. To start with, I'll just canter over the pole on the ground and then to the vertical. That was good. Good rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And with the flying change over the fence, you've just got to change the bend a little bit as you go over the fence. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's good. Once more to the vertical, and then I will come to the oxa. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Maybe a little quick. But at least I slowly increased the rhythm to and the speed to the fence. Looking at it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Good boy. All right, I just stop. I give him a little break again, and Bettina, could you put them up again, please? Important, all the time, not asking really more than the horse is capable. I just like the canter to be a comfortable canter for the horse. Some people ask for a lot more collection in the canter. I like the horse to be able to just run and jump out of the rhythm that they're in. And I think in time, with the development and the work on the flat and with the working through the transitions, then that gets the horse stronger. You cannot create something if the horse hasn't got the ability to do it. It's the same as some horses will never make event horses, some horses will never make dressage horses, and some horses will never make show jumpers. So don't go and try and create something that's not there. All you can do is just allow the horse to show the ability that the horse has got. I'll just start off again over the vertical and come to the oxa once more. Good boy, give him a pat because that was very good, he tried hard. Quality of canter. Ooh. Ooh. There, because he landed on the incorrect lead, I stopped him and just start again, rather than try and force him to change. All right, here's a horse that I haven't ridden at a novice competition, but exactly the same principles as I work with my advanced horses. 4x4, keep it simple. Cross country can be the most exciting or the most frightening phase of eventing. What I'm going to try and demonstrate to you is the simplicity of the 4x4 method. The thing that I really look towards when warming up the horse for the cross country or any cross country schooling is just to give him a good canter round to start with, just so that he's comfortable in a good rhythm, and then just start off with some very small fences. It doesn't matter how small. Just sitting in the saddle early, just coming to them, just thinking of the rhythm, just so I can get to a good spot and have a nice jump. I just stay on a turn. I've come to most of my fences just off a turn so that it's easy for them. Sitting in the saddle, just feeling the rhythm, that's it, good. Yeah, and if I find it a little difficult to feel my distance, actually sit in the saddle and count my strides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And you can jump them on a little bit of an angle, it doesn't matter, the tricana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There, I had to allow him to go a little more forward because I could just feel him looking at it a little. I just do this once more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. To the trachea. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And I just come back over the trachea again. On a little bit of an angle, sitting, counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, and that was very good jump over it then. All the time just staying light on the horse's back, but being able to sit in the saddle properly. Open ditches and ditch and palisade fences are the biggest rider frightener that you can get. So many people stand here and they look in the ditch. I can assure you the ditch never gets any less, no matter how many times you walk it and look at it. When galloping to the fence, sit in the saddle early, feel the rhythm that you've got, the canter rhythm, just keep coming and look at the top of the fence. And the horse has to take off approximately 2 meters from the fence, so it doesn't matter. You could have a 2 meter wide ditch before it was really going to influence the jump. A lot of riders hate bounces. Silly really, because invariably they jump well. The important thing is good rhythm on the approach so that you have your speed right, look at the top rail, and the rest just happens once you get in. Here we have a zigzag, which essentially is an angled rail, and in this case is over a ditch. Now in approaching this fence, what I would do is look at the terrain that I'm running on and also where I'm going beyond the fence. The other thing is that whether I was turning right or left after the fence. With the height of this fence, I would be comfortable with my horse of running straight to the fence and jumping the far point. The thing that I would never do would be to jump the point closest to me. The other thing that is important, that when jumping the fence, you look at the point that you wish to jump. If it's the far point, you look at that point. Or if my horse was not comfortable with jumping the ditches and I had had some difficulties in schooling, what I would do would be try to jump the rail as close to a 90-degree angle on my approach as possible, therefore angling the ditch a little bit. The reason for this is that if your horse does not get as high as you would like him and he hits the rail, there is a greater chance of you staying standing and not being twisted heavily and going off to the side. The trachea, again, is another rider frightener, only because of the ditch. If it was a single rail, you wouldn't even consider looking at it a second time. So just think of riding it as a single rail, sit in the saddle early, just think of keeping the rhythm, coming to the fence, and staying focused on the top. With approaching a complex like this, where you've got a rail to a ditch and then another rail, in many cases, the people approaching this fence on their horse are really looking beyond the first rail because they do not believe it to be a difficulty in jumping the rail, but the ditch to be the problem. But ironically, in this situation, with them looking too far ahead, they miss their distance to the first rail and therefore have a bad jump over that. Then that automatically creates a bad jump over the ditch because they have not got here at the right speed and for the correct takeoff. So in approaching, look at your first rail, jump everything step by step. the rail to start with. Once you've negotiated that, or you are negotiating that, you then allow your eyes to come forward to the front of the ditch, because this is where you want to get to. And then once your horse is negotiating the ditch, you then look at the rail. The two important factors here are where your eyes are, looking at each element, and then having the correct speed. Narrow fences like this often cause the rider a lot of concern. But it shouldn't be a problem, because if you've had the opportunity of jumping the narrow blocks at home, when coming to the competition, sure, you will be approaching it a little quicker, but just think of looking at the center of the fence, just holding the horse extremely straight, sitting in the saddle and feeling the rhythm to the fence, so that you just get here to jump out of a good rhythm and for a good takeoff spot. Invariably, you'll have a corner fence at a one-day event. Now, in working out how to jump this, you must just dissect the corner and ride at 90-degree angle of the corner of the dissection. And then it is extremely easy. It is just the same as jumping an oxen. Banks and bank complexes normally involve jumps up and followed by drops. In the approach to the bank, make sure you look at the ledge on the first jumping effort. As soon as you've negotiated that, do not lean forward, sit up, sit in the saddle, keep your eyes focused on your next jumping effort so that you can get to that in a good takeoff spot. So in this case, where you jump up, you then have to bounce over these posts and rails to the drop. Invariably, riders lean too far forward in your landing or too far back. All you need to do is keep a direct line between the ball of the foot, the knee and the shoulder, even though the horse is at an angle like that. With approaching a log like this, which is well in front of the water complex, the important thing is that you have your horse going forward in a good strong canter, not fast, but a strong canter so he gets to a deep spot, because it's not until he is just here on the takeoff stride or the stride before the takeoff stride that the horse is going to see that he's not jumping into the water. And so make sure that you've got your horse with a good strong canter so that you can jump the log well, land here, and it's not until you've landed do you start to look towards the water, and just think of having a good secure position, not in front of the movement of the horse, in case the horse hesitates on either the takeoff or hits the log or hesitates on landing. Riding through the water is one of the most difficult phases of riding around the cross-country course, because water slows the horse down and they become a little unsure with the spray and the splash of coming through the water. So it's important that you have a good strong contact on the reins and that you keep your leg on so that you can develop either a good trot or a good canter. At novice and pre-novice level, you can get away with trotting through water. But once you go into intermediate and advanced competitions, you need to be able to have your horse cantering through the water. The essential thing is, regardless of whether you're trotting or you're cantering, that when there is a fence following the water, you look at the fence and you try to pick up a rhythm and a canter rhythm as soon as departing the water, so that you get to a good takeoff point to jump the fence. Water complexes always need careful riding. In this instance, we have a post and rail set approximately 3.2 metres in front of a fence where you jump into the water. The important thing here is, and where so many riders go wrong, they're not sure as to how the horse is going to jump over this element into the water. Therefore, on their approach, their eyes are all the time set on the element going into the water. But when you are approaching it, the important thing is that you actually look at the first element and that you have your speed right so that you have a good jump in and that you can then travel the 3.2 metres to the next element. Because if you do not jump this fence, you will never get to the next fence to jump into the water safely.
In part 2, Andrew takes on the role of instructor and is joined by Bettina Overesch as they work with 2 pupils in the school. Andrew then helps Bettina on an intermediate horse with related distances and narrow fences. And finally, Andrew and Bettina school 2 novice horses over cross-country fences, including a first introduction to the water complex.